welcome back to the channel, man. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You know, today's video, I thought I'd go ahead and make some dreams come true today, man. I thought I'd go ahead and make some dreams come true.
Alright, so, basically, I'm gonna lie to you dumb fucks on how I got GTA 6, and since you guys are gullible as shit, you guys are gonna fall for it, and yeah, that's how that works. And I'm gonna get a shit ton of views from this, and yeah, basically, what I'm doing here is a technique in which I shit out content and I get a lot of money. I mean, it works all the time. It's a good technique. Now, I got GTA 6, it's up my asshole right now, and I'm gonna show you guys some gameplay of it. By the way, this is top secret. I should not be showing anybody this, but you know, since I'm such a nice guy, I'm gonna show you guys. All I had to do was suck off the executive of Rockstar, and now I have GTA 6. This is not clickbait, guys. This is 100% legitimate. You know, I'm best friends with the executive himself. You know, I sucked him off a little bit. I'm known as his little stripper, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm gonna show you guys some gameplay of it. Hey, yo, what's up, guys? If you can't tell, I'm playing this in the new PS5. You know, I want the best performance out there. And yeah, you know, this console was a hassle to get, but in the end of the day, I managed to get it. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit of some gameplay from this game. Maybe like 5 or 10 minutes of it, because I can't show you the whole game. All I can tell you is this game takes place in Mexico for some reason. I am racist, so just have that in mind. I am a little bit biased, because, you know, I'd prefer someone like Franklin, CJ, or Michael himself. But, you know, fine. Mexicans are okay, I guess. And yeah, it's not made by Rockstar for some reason. It's made by EDS. I don't know what the hell that means, but, you know, it is what it is. It's still GTA 6, though. But they're trying to disguise it as something that it isn't, you know? So basically, if people find this leak, they're never gonna know that it's actually GTA 6. It's like a whole cover-up scheme. But since I'm an intellectual myself and I use Reddit, that's how I know that this is GTA 6. And that is the main protagonist himself. I'm not that sure on who he is, but regardless, it is GTA. That's all that matters. Check this shit out, guys. Isn't this crazy? Look at the graphics. Look at that gun, man. You can't tell me this doesn't look good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, show me that ass. Show me the... Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I'm about to cut my pants. You see that shit? Dual-wield shotguns. You see that? This is crazy, guys. Remember, guys, to dislike and unsubscribe for great content like this. Oh, yeah. You see that shit? Hell yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Show me that cock. Oh, yeah. Come on, guys. Is there going to be a sex mod in this game? There better be. I want to see some titties! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Woo! It isn't, oh! I'm acting like one of those shitty Let's Play channels. Like, I've already seen this, but I'm just gonna act over dramatic. Oh my god, guys! This is crazy gameplay, guys! Oh my freaking god! Oh my god, guys! This is crazy! Oh! Guys, look at the graphics! Oh my god! Oh! GTA 6, guys! Oh my... Oh, he's a Mexican! Guys! Guys, it's diversity! It's diversity, guys! Oh my god, this is crazy! This is the great game for Gen Z. Oh shit. Oh yeah, fuck the police, guys. Fuck the police. Hell yeah, Mexicans rule. FYI, I'm a Mexican, so I can make these shitty jokes. I don't want to get fucking canceled. Okay, just clarifying that in advance. You know, the name is Spider Carlos for fuck's sakes, but, you know, you can't... Oh, hell yeah. Cesar Morales. The father. Alright, guys, let's begin this game with great gameplay. You see this shit? Oh, hell yeah. PS5 graphics at its finest, guys. Rockstar really tried to push the limits on this game, if you can't tell. Oh, hell yeah, man. You see this shit? It's the motherfucking Aztec's temple. You see that? Hell yeah. God motherfucking damn. By the way, I apologize for that joke that I made earlier. It was a little offensive. So, right now I'm working as a Mexican for the DEA. Good lord, how did I mess that up? Oh, god motherfucking damn! You see this shit, guys? Come on. Woo! Oh, I forget how to play this game. Come on, guys, look at these graphics. Oh, come on. You can't tell me that you're not coming your pants over this shit. Oh fuck. Damn! Oh my god, guys, this is crazy. Yeah, rewind. Yeah, so basically with this rewind button, you just go back in time for no fucking reason. Just why not? Reload. Got it. Oh, you son of a bitch, you better not call me a goddamn asshole. That's goddamn right. Woo! Come on, guys! Max Payne! You can't tell me this is not crazy. Yeah, Max Payne. Mexican Max Payne GTA. This is really crazy, my guys. Can I have 10 likes? Oh shit, guys, this is crazy gameplay. Look at this shit, bro. Oh shit. I'm part of the goddamn DEA. This is Narcos, the video game. Yo, fuck you, bitch! I'm gonna act extremely excited when in reality I just want to end my life already. By the way, I don't mean that! If you want to actually end your life, get some help. I mean it. I shouldn't be joking about stuff like that, but I have no life. Fuck you, bitch. Ooh! Guys, this is crazy. Look at this. Portal 2 is confirmed in GTA 6. I just got teleported to this blue portal. How crazy is that? I'm beginning to realize the amount of times that I curse. I just always say the same curse words. It just gets repetitive and annoying sometimes. Like, I can just imagine how my friends deal with me on a daily basis. They just hear the same curse words every single day. So, like, the same... It's like NPC dialogue in GTA 5. It's just like, fuck, 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 fuck. Like, yes, I am one of those type of people that think that the word fuck is comedy gold. Well, I don't actually think that, but I can see how somebody can think that I am that guy. You know? Now I need to continue with the shitty persona of me being Sernando. Guys, check this out! Oh my god, this is crazy, guys! Oh, woohoo! Oh, guys, you can't tell me that is not crazy! Ho, guys. Did you see that crazy stunt that I just pulled off? Dude, Sernando acts like a robot. Like, for real. He's like calling Rockstar. And he's like, yo, guys, I just called Rockstar and got GTA 6. And he'd be acting like a robot. He doesn't act like a human. It's just weird listening to him. Like, most people watch his videos or click on his videos just to hate on him. But me personally, if I watch a Sernando video, I'm just watching his movement. He doesn't act normal. Not at all. It's just odd. I don't get it. And by the way, this game is actually called Total Overdose. The soundtrack is fantastic. This game is made for the PS2, but you know, I like it so far. For the most part, I'm just some Mexican, and you know, if that wasn't obvious. But basically, my dad used to be working for the DEA. He mysteriously died, and I've been told that he committed suicide. And then after that, I decided to become a DEA reason as well for some reason. And now I'm just clapping cheeks from the Narcos. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's a solid game. I mean, it's for the PS2, and it's like Max Payne style. Everything about it is fun. Like, check this shit out. Ready? See that? You can't tell me that wasn't sick. I mean, it was useless, but it was still pretty cool. Come on. You can't tell me it wasn't. The only issue is I have no clue what I'm supposed to be doing. All I know is that I should find a way to go in there. I'm assuming I need to follow this tube thing somehow. I need to go on top of that bitch. But maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? With the power of editing, I'll make it there as soon as possible. So, if I'm correct, there should be some sort of launch tower, and then if I go up on it, then there should be a zipline. You know, I'm a pro league gamer. Trust me, I'd never look up a tutorial. That's honestly disgusting if you think I'd do that. I'd never do such a thing. You know, I'm a puzzle person myself, if you know what I'm saying. That made no sense at all. But, you know, I'm gonna go along with my shitty commentary. So this skull thing, if I'm correct, it gets you, like, what's it called? You get these, like, guitar cases, right? And you just shoot them like machine guns. It's pretty lit. At least I think so. Oh, guys, it's pretty lit! Oh, no wonder everyone hates our generation. Alright, so if I'm right, I go up here. Yep. And there should be a zip line. I guess we'll find out. Or I guess I'll find out, because nobody else is watching these shitty videos. Fuck you. Bitch! Woohoo! That's right. Come on, you can't tell me this isn't cool. Hold on, is there anybody on the way? That'd be pretty cool. Oh, hell yeah, you see that? You see that? Come on, you can't tell me these physics aren't amazing. Come on. Me not being able to shoot out of the gate, you know, that's realistic 2021 type graphics right here. Look, see the portal? Boom, I can save my game. You don't see this in new games. You don't, man. Because this is like the best of the best you can get, man. Trust me. This is the best of the best. You know, guys, at some point I'm gonna need to go since, you know, I still have bedtime. Yo, what the hell? Oh, I thought he had that whole... I thought it was like a boss battle, but no, it's just a fertilizer tower. I need to take that. So yeah, you can come on. You can't tell me, Boom. I mean, not Boom. You guys can't tell me that this isn't crazy. Check this shit out. I can throw dynamite. This has never been done in any other game. Trust me. I played a lot of games. You know, I'm a game tester myself, and this has never happened in any other game. Only GTA 6. Oh what am I supposed to do? Oh yeah, let me grab that armor. Oh! Hoo, hoo. What the hell am I doing? What am I? Son of a gun. That's right! I purposely did that. I'm just goated. Oh yeah, I'm really good at driving. Yo, check this out. Ready? Why did I do that? I don't know. But come on, you can't tell me that isn't cool. Alright, let's go to the next place. Oh, with the magic of, oh. I guess we made it already. Let's go, guys. I'm Pro League Gamer. Oh, what the? What was that? Dude, I have no clue what that was. All I saw there was a very good cutscene. Yeah, I'm a very good driver if you can't tell. By the way, the driving on the PS2 controller is very different compared to, or not even PS2 controller, but PS2 console, because for the most part, games like GTA 3 and all that, to drive you need to click on X, and that's to go forward. And then there's the other button, I forget, and that's to go backwards, but I never use it, so I forget what it is. Yeah, I'm really good at this game if you can't tell. Dude, I swear to God, if this video gets like taken down or something, I'm gonna be pissed. Like for using copyright music from this game. Dude, I love the music in this game. I really do. It's like so cool. I don't know why, it just is. Oh guys, this is so cool, guys. They're really cool. This is why you should cop a total overdose. Oh crap. And with the power of rewind. Rewind time! You know, with Will Smith. Am I the only one that knows about that? It used to be really popular back then. It's not relevant anymore though. Only TikTok and Charlie D'Amelio is relevant to this day. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, like 20 years from now, none of you guys are gonna know what Charlie D'Amelio is. Like, oh, Charlie D'Amelio, my favorite Fortnite YouTuber. Come on, you can't tell me this isn't cool. Oh shit. Is it gonna blow up or something? Oh hell yeah. See that? I made it on tree. That's right! I'm just Pro League gaming. Oh yeah, you see that, boys? You see that? I'm just goated. That's right. By the way, if you're wondering how I went from like the first mission to this mission, it's because I started a new game originally, and then I'm like, no, I don't want to lose all of my progress, so I'm a pussy, and I alt F4'd. And yeah, that's basically what happened, if you're wondering what happened between me being in this plane mission to me stealing a car for no reason. Or at least that's how it's going to appear to you guys. But you know, guys, I don't want to spoil the game, so you guys can play it for yourselves, even though none of you guys are going to even get this game. Or, in another way I can phrase this sentence, as if anybody was gonna watch this video. It's just gonna be like two people that I know from school, and then they're gonna like dislike the video and be like, your content is shit, fuck you. I can just see it already. That's how it's gonna be. I'm just waiting on those two people to say fuck you anytime soon that I post this shit show of a video. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, this is just a shit post. Originally, it was just gonna be me making a parody the whole time, but now I kind of want to actually complete this mission, so that's the only reason why I'm kind of out of that persona. Besides that, I would have sticked with it. What I'm trying to say is, I'm really lazy when it comes to making these videos. I mean, what do you expect? You think I got like a huge ass budget to make this video? Oh, heck no. I'm just over here, playing, I'm just playing PS2 games, that's right! That is right. Okay guys, console wars, which one is better? The PS2 or the Xbox original? You know, it's the most recent games most recent consoles that just came out. It's a very tough competition. Yo, what? How do I... Dude. Come on! Alright, by the way, there's chickens. And you don't see that in many other games. That's another reason to get this game. That's right. I don't know how to go in there. Oh, wait. Dude, come on. How do I go in there? Oh, okay. Fuck you. What? 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 I smacked the shit out of him. Oh yeah, the grass textures, if you can't tell, high quality. Fuck you. That's right. Can I go through here? Oh, okay. Whoosh! That was an innocent ass woman. No, never mind. She killed the cow. It's fine. I'm a vegan. By the way, no, that's actually in the game. I am a vegan. I don't know why that was added. I don't know. I mean, a vegetarian. I forgot. Veganism was probably not even a thing back then. I'm just waiting for those vegans to be like, oh, actually, you know, he's existed. It's just the normies wouldn't realize that, since you guys are disgusting human beings that eat meat. Oh yeah, I gotta go upstairs. Smack you in the face. Oh, come on. Let's rewind time. Only two people that I know actually played Halo. Besides that, they all played Call of Duty. Yeah, if you can't tell, you know, I could be in a call with my friends, you know, playing like Scribble.io or like Rainbow Six Siege, but you know, I told them that I want to play games of high quality, which is Total Overdose. Come on, you can't tell me this isn't cool. Yo, what? Come on. Yeah, right now I'm killing Joe. You know, like, hey, Joe Mama. That joke was for the 10-year-olds, so then they can be like, oh, guys, that is crazy. Joe Mama is in this game? That is crazy, my guys. Oh my god! Oh my... Joe Mama! Joe Mama! Guys, Joe Mama's in this game. Come on, guys. This is crazy. What the hell is he doing? What is wrong with him?
You should have stayed home on your tractor.
What is this? Intense gameplay, guys. No wonder my friends don't want to play this game. Oh, that's right. I just killed Joe Mama. I'm thinking of how I'm gonna clickbait this video. I mean, there's many ways I can do it, but at the same time, you know, I can either be like Total Overdose gameplay, you know, keep it normal and make it that nobody watches, or I can call it I got GTA 6. Now, if I do that, I'm gonna get a bunch of 10-year-olds that are gonna dislike my video, in which I get views, in which I can get money, and that's all that matters. Because let's be honest here, I'm only here for the money. Because, you know, I hate you guys. Fuck you guys. I'm only here for money. No sarcasm at all, if you can't tell. Oh, very nice. For the most part, this is just for myself to look back and be like, wow, Carlos, your videos are actually dog shit. I mean, I have a slave editor. I mean, he occasionally edits my videos. Yeah, I don't pay him nothing. Yeah, fuck you, bitch. You ain't getting paid shit, you're my slave. By the way, for purposes, that is a joke, if you can't tell. It's a very shitty joke, don't get me wrong, but it's still better to clarify it rather than having the police show up at my door. Oh, guys, this is the new Forza game. Come on, check this out. What happens if I blow it up? Smack the shit. Oh. What a surprise! Wow, how crazy is that? I had no clue that was gonna happen. Well, whoa, 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 whoa! Well, just for now, you know, it's bedtime, so for that reason, I will talk to you guys later. And yeah, have a good day. See you guys.